Hello YouTube, it's Ryan here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we're going to be doing another comic book review. Today we're going to be looking at Barbaric, Volume 1. Here I have the first 3 issues that are contained in this volume. I think the name of the volume is actually Barbaric, Murderable Offenses, and it only contains 3 issues, which are these 3 right here. Barbaric 1, Barbaric 2, and Barbaric 3. It's written by Michael Moresi, illustrated by Nathan Gooden, and inked by Addison Duke, if I understand it correctly. And the publisher is Vault Comics, who do really good work. I actually ended up buying a lot of series that they had available recently, or like last month actually, not that recently, honestly, because they had them for $2 a pop digitally, right? So I have like 6 or 7 volumes of their stuff that I bought digitally for $2 a piece, which is awesome. I really like that. And one of those titles was Barbaric. I actually collected this when it was coming out because I coincidentally got into comic books at the same time as the second issue was coming out, so that's pretty cool. The demographic here is definitely adult. It's 18 plus series for sure. There's boobies, there's titties, there's sexual violence, there's actual violence, there's blood, there's sexual content of all types. This is very much an adult series, so you know, if you're not an adult, don't read this. And the genre is fantasy, specifically heroic fantasy, so it's kind of a pulpy, kind of old school Conan the Barbarian type of story. And it does not have an adaptation currently, obviously. However, it does have a spin-off series, or a spin-off one-shot, which is called Harvest Blades. I read it recently. I'll probably end up making a review for it at some point. But the one thing I didn't really like about that was that the art was different from the main series, which one actually helps to make it seem different because it seems to happen before the series. And 2, you know, it just was supposed to be different from the series. But I didn't personally like it because it looked less good than the original. And so, I don't know, I felt that disconnect, which was intended, I'm sure, and it worked for me, but the art style itself, the art direction wasn't really my vibe. It felt a little bit too, like, sharp compared to the more kind of organic feel of the Nathan Gooden stuff. So, yeah, the premise is basically that we follow this guy, Owen, who is a barbarian, and he has been cursed by 3 witches, which are basically the Norns, or the Hecate, or the Crone Maiden. You know, those groups of people, the Fates, whatever they're called. Those 3 witches, it seems to be them, and they cursed him to always do good. Now, I'm not exactly sure why they cursed him specifically. It might have been that he was destined to be that hero to always do good, or it was a punishment for something he did. It's not really clear why they chose to curse him, but they did, and everyone that he knew around him died at that time, I think. But now he has traversed the world for over a lifetime, helping out people that ask for help. As long as they are in the right, his axe leads them to help them, right? So it's pretty interesting. And it kind of gets him in trouble because he mentions that goodness is subjective and his axe is a sentient being. And it also has a subjective opinion what's good and bad, even though it's a lot more morally, like, unambiguous, which is kind of interesting. So he goes through an adventure in this first volume. And yeah, so the plotline here is pretty good. We get introduced to Owen through this kind of sideshow kind of situation. They're showing off this barbarian who happens to be Owen. And it turns out that Owen is like, no, I can't attack these people because I don't know if they've done any wrong. So then the rich man that owns him, or that is in charge of him at the moment, says, this guy's a rapist, this guy's a murderer, and this guy stole from me. And so the axe decides that the rapist and the murderer can die, but the thief is really not that big of a deal. And then the axe then decides that the owner of Owen is also a bad guy, and so he dies too. And then we get introduced to Owen's backstory, which is more or less what I explained earlier. He meets the Norns on his boat, and they curse him for all of eternity to do good, whatever subjective opinion of good that is, right? And then we end up in a pub, and it turns out that a witch is going to be burned here soon, and so Owen has to go intervene and figure out what's going on. And then we get introduced to Soren, who is this young necromantic witch, and then some zombies pop up, and then this leads to the final quest of their volume. And it's a pretty good story. It's really short, it's really easy to read, but it is well made. I really liked it. The characters are pretty interesting. So Owen and the axe are more or less the same as the Death Dealer from Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer. If you guys have read that, it's a cursed object and a cursed man that coexist as one unit, and they have to do whatever it has to be done. However, Owen is technically a good guy. He is not really like a bad person, but he's not a real hero. He's somewhere in between. He's kind of an anti-hero type character, and the axe is a very funny presence, and it gets drunk on blood, and so anytime that they're in heavy action, the axe progressively gets weirder, and it's really funny. And then Soren is a good character. She gets involved with Owen. Owen initially doesn't like her because he's against witches, because he was cursed by some, but Soren reveals information about herself that then makes Owen change his opinion of her specifically, not of witches. And so he sticks by her in a moment of crisis, and then they become friends and are going to go on further adventures later on. I'm sure there will eventually also be a development of some sort of romance between the two, but currently that is not the case. They just seem to be friends of circumstance, right? And the ages of the characters are clear. Owen is obviously a grown man, and he has been alive for a long time. Soren also looks like a grown woman, but the way Owen refers to her a few times makes it seem like she's a teenager of some sorts, but it is unclear. It doesn't really matter, but Owen is immortal, so eventually it's possible that they have a romantic situation, even if they don't right now, right? So yeah, in terms of world building, it's a very standard fantasy world. There's a lot of races, there's a lot of groups of people. Barbarians are a type. It doesn't seem to be a race, it seems to be an occupation, but Owen looks particularly like lion-esque. He kind of looks like a lion. His hair really, it makes him look like a lion. He has really sharp teeth, so I don't know if he's like a full human or if he's like vaguely some sort of like animal person. There's these sorts of taverns, and there's races of all types. There's these people that look like kappas, there's people that look like some sort of amphibian humanoid, there's orcs, there's giants, there's vampires, there's witches, there's werewolves, everything that you can think of, it exists in this world. And of course, we learn about curses, we learn about these three fate-like beings, witches and vampires. Vampires are teased to be the next villain at the end of the story, and all of this sort of stuff. Of course, necromancy and religious cults are kind of a main plot point here in this version or of this volume, and overall really good stuff. In terms of the artwork, I think it's awesome. It's really great. The colors are really vibrant and exciting. Whoever did this, I think Addison Duke did a great job with it. The art style is cool and has a very scratchy but also very refined look to it. It's very well done. I really like how Owen and Soren are so different in their color choices and their styles and the way they look and stuff like that. It makes them seem like a really interesting pair. The axe is really fun looking as well. It's really cool. It's kind of a normal axe on one side, and then the other side is like a mouth with like teeth and like jewels in its eyes and stuff like that. So it's really fun. In terms of a rating, it's a 5 out of 5. I've read this story about 3 times so far, and I've enjoyed it a lot every time. I've noticed more things every time I read it, and it's been so fun. So I definitely recommend you guys check out the hardcover version or the digital version. I think it's not for sale anymore. I think it's back to its original price of $8.99 or $7.99. I can't remember, but it is still a really good purchase. I definitely recommend that you guys buy it, whether it's physical for $18, I think, for the hardcover, or digital for $8. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys in the next video.